Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. She is the CEO of Pruden Global Business Solution Consulting, DBA Sister Leaders, a leadership training and professional development organization committed to strategizing with high-performing professionals to learn, grow, and lead. Imagine being stuck and feeling the weight of being underutilized by your employer. That's where Dr. Karen steps in. She's on a mission to help high-performing leaders maximizing using their professional knowledge and experience to create a professional identity outside of an employer-employee relationship. She accomplished this by sharing her LPT framework. Dr. Karen has worked in leadership in the tax industry, retail industry, nonprofit, museum, and higher education. Dr. Karen was recently honored with the 2024 Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award signed by President Joseph R. Biden. Additionally, she has been recognized by 2 governors, Virginia and Maryland, and former Congresswoman Elaine Loria for her work in leadership. Dr. Karen has authored/co-authored 30-plus books, most of which are bestsellers. Her next publication, the LPT Framework, a playbook for business, domination, and sustainability, will be published October 2024. So, without further ado, I'm going to have you stand on your feet and give a round of applause to our 2024 champion of the Hampton Road Caucus, Dr.
Thank you so much. You know, it is my worst nightmare to be behind this. I am all of 4'11" barefoot. This is about 4 feet, so thank God for heels. I want to thank the Hampton Roads Black Caucus certainly for recognizing me. I am just a servant leader who is trying to use all of her talents so that you'll have something to talk about between my dash, between my birth, and when I go back to be with the Lord. And so I am truly honored. I'm humbled by all that God has allowed me to do, how I've been recognized. I'm actually on my way out of the country. This is my first event. I have another event in the States, and then I'm headed for Greece tomorrow to speak. I speak all over the world. I encourage women leaders specifically, even though I work with men as well, to not allow yourself to be undervalued. So I help women leaders amplify your value, because if you can't articulate your value, then you will be dismissed and undervalued. And I teach them how to create an identity outside of an employer, because if people don't know the problem that you solve, then you're useless to them. If the only identity you have is attached to an employer, if that's all they know about you and they don't know the problem that you help solve in this world, and they can't advocate for you, they can't sponsor, they can't hire your businesses, they can't do any of those things. And so you need to have an identity that is not associated with an employer unless your employer has your name on the documents. All right, so at this point, I just want to thank your HRBC for the award before I move into my speech. Thank you. And here it is. God is good.
Yes, he is.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about today about look both ways before crossing life's highways. That is the theme for this event, which is kind of in line with my organizational theme for the year, which for Sister Leaders, our theme is more. Women deserve to be seen more, heard more, and paid more. And so both of these themes ignite the spirit of change and calls for intentional leadership. And in our journey for more as sister leaders, I want to encourage each of you to look when you be intentional and strategic when it comes to your career, when it comes to your business. We are often at a crossroads, deciding when to move, what risks to take, and how to best balance our personal and sometimes professional aspirations. But today I want to share with you kind of 3 principles that will ensure that maybe we can make bold, impactful moves while staying true to ourselves and our purpose as we look both ways before crossing life's highways. So the first principle is assess the journey ahead and know your destination. Before crossing any highway, it's crucial to know where you're headed. As leaders, we must be clear about our goals and the legacy we want to leave behind. Maya Angelou once said, if you can't really know where you're going, if you don't know where you've been. And reflecting on our past is like looking both ways. It kind of grounds us in our purpose while preparing for our future. So most leaders have one or many experiences that have shaped them to find their purpose and passion in life. And really, I'm no different. After spending a decade in middle management and having a succession of 3 bad, awful bosses, I decided I wanted to be in senior leadership. And this is about 21 years ago. I didn't know any female leaders in senior leadership. So I didn't have anybody to ask, what should I do? What should I say? Is my resume good enough? And so back then, LinkedIn wasn't the powerhouse that it is now. LinkedIn has 900 million individuals on it. So if you didn't know, I'm a data person. So if you want to hang out with 900 million people, that's what's up there now. 21 years ago, we were still trying to figure out the difference between LinkedIn and some of the other forms of social media. But LinkedIn was the only resource that I had to find someone to be my mentor. So I sent a copy of my resume. I found 2 black female leaders who had been a vice president for at least 10 years, shot them a direct message with my resume and said, hey, this is what I've accomplished at this point. I'm looking for a mentor who can help me get to the C-suite, because that's what my aspirations were. And after they made me sweat about 2 weeks, my number 1 choice got back to me and said, sure, for $350 an hour. Now, back then, 21 years ago, your girl won't rolling like that. Well, I would say if I lost $350 today, I'm gonna be looking for it. Well, really, back then, I wasn't rolling like that. But what do you do when someone has walked the walk and they have receipts for where you're trying to go, and you have the opportunity to work with them? So I negotiated. I said, well, can I hire you for 1 hour a month for 1 year? Because her contract was for 1 year. And she said yes. And so I contracted with her for 1 hour a month. $350. Sometimes I didn't get my weave done. Sometimes I didn't get my nails done. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Amen.
Where you're trying to go. And so she worked with me for 1 year, and then 3 months after working with her for 1 year, I was invited to apply for a position in the C-suite, and I have been in senior leadership ever since then. So I share that to say that that is my passion. That was my passion. It should not be so difficult for a young female professional to find someone to mentor her or tell her playbook to reach either her business or in corporate America to get to the next level. So that's how Sister Leaders was born. So that is how my passion was born. Going back to this first principle of assess the journey ahead, know your destination, staying within the theme, I knew there was a greater future for me, but I also knew that I needed to be prepared for it. And I didn't know what the blueprint was for that preparation, and that mentorship provided that for me. So this first principle echoes my Sister Leaders theme for the year, which is, again, women deserve more, but more with clarity, more with intention. We need to be strategic and intentional in our business and in our careers. We are not co-pilots when it comes to our career. Don't sit around and wait for some employer to give you a promotion. If you think that you're ready, show yourself to the marketplace. Take your talents to the marketplace so that you can use your talents. So we also need to look at where we've been, learn from it, and ensure that each step forward aligns with the mission that is uniquely ours. And so the second principle I'll share with you is pause and listen before crossing any highway. Your gut is a powerful guide. I have a professional coach, and she tells me that your gut is your second brain. And I reflect on situations where I say, something told me. So, you know, everybody's been there. Something told me to not go here. Something told me to not say this. Something told me to be quiet. And that was your gut. And Oprah Winfrey says that your gut is your protection. She said, and when you don't listen to it, you put yourself in unnecessary danger. So like standing at the edge of a busy highway on point with the dean, you must pause and listen to that voice inside guiding you to make the right move forward. So in leadership, listening to ourselves isn't always easy. We're told to be strong. We're told to push through, and sometimes the strength lies in the wait. There is power in the pause. Sometimes we need to take time to assess the traffic of our lives. You know, what are our priorities? What are our relationships? What are our opportunities? What are our goals? More, for sister leaders, more does not mean haste. It means more wisdom, more self-trust. And so that lets me roll into the third principle in line with this theme. Don't be afraid to cross the highway. Bold leadership is non-negotiable. Once you've looked both ways and assessed the path ahead, it's time to cross with confidence. Sometimes our biggest obstacle is just in making that step forward. Fear takes over. Michelle Obama said, I have learned that as long as I hold fast to my beliefs and values and follow my own moral compass, then the only expectations I need to live up to is simply my own. Leadership often means crossing highways others are too afraid to walk. There was a time in my career as a leader I was told in a year when my boss retired that I would get her job. And what employee wouldn't be excited about that? No application, you don't have to go through no interview process, the job is simply yours. You know, they value what you've done with the organization, you're on deck, you're next. I was number 2, she was number 1. So over a year, she started passing over her duties to me, you know, getting me ready for when she retired. But then when the 1 year mark hit, old girl was still on deck. So, me knowing you can't make anybody retire, I didn't say anything. She didn't say anything, I didn't say anything. 18 months hit, your girl's still on deck. She didn't say anything, I didn't say anything. I had been on that job for 14 years. I had worked my way up from front line to senior leadership. I love that job. I love the company that I work for. But now, I was coming to work every day, and your girl wasn't happy. And I knew that I couldn't open a conversation with her because you can't make anybody retire. So, I prayed about it, and God told me to show myself to the marketplace. So I dusted off my resume, because I have been with this employer for 14 years, and I put it out there, and I interviewed, and I took my talents to the marketplace. And so that is an example of why I am a cheerleader for you are not the co-pilot in your career. You do not have to sit back and wait for someone to hand you a promotion if you feel like you are ready. The gist of the matter is that my boss decided that she was not financially ready to retire. and no one wanted to mention it to me because they were scared that I was gonna leave. But you've heard what has happened anyway. I left, I showed myself to the marketplace. Now, I'm a female leadership coach, and of course, before I leave this stage, I'll share with you certain female leaders who have looked both ways before crossing life's highways in line with the theme. And so the first person I want to mention, most of you, I hope all of you have heard of, is Harriet Tubman, a woman who knew both the danger of staying where she was and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Harriet looked both ways before leading countless souls to freedom and not once doubting that the other side held greater promise than the familiar oppression she left behind. I started my company because I believe the reason more women are not in senior leadership has nothing to do with a lack of talent. For most, it is a lack of knowledge of what is required as a leader. You see, leadership is a different job description. Managers are concerned about day-to-day activities. Us leaders and CEOs are visionaries, and we're planning for 3 to 5 years down the road. But if nobody ever tells you this, when you go into an interview for a leadership position, you're talking about what you did last week instead of what the organization should be doing 2 years from now or 3 years from now. Leaders know their competitors and what their competitors are doing and what their competitors are selling. They know their competitors are not just brick and mortar. Their competitors are also online. Looking both ways before crossing life's highways in line with this theme is knowing what everyone in your industry is doing. That is our job as leaders. And if you are a business owner who has never purchased your competitors' products, you are operating behind the 8 ball. You can never know what you are truly up against without getting an up-close and personal view of products and services. So how would you know if you never purchased their product and services? Another great leader is Ursula Burns. She was the first Black Fortune 500 CEO of Xerox. When Ursula took over in 2009, the company was struggling financially. Ironically, in most industries, that's when women get promoted. We usually don't get handed that thrive in business. We get an opportunity is how they kind of cage it when the organization is in trouble. But Ursula took on that task. Most times, by the time women make it up to that, there's a deficiency in major areas such as revenue solvency, customer retention, or the use of technology. But Ursula was different. Her leadership wasn't just about making tough financial decisions. It was about leading with conviction, integrity, and a clear vision for the future. And she once said, I realized I had to build bridges to the future, not the past. And this mindset helped her steer the company through turbulent times, eventually leading Xerox into a more sustainable and innovative area. So for Ursula, she looked both ways in line with the theme. She evaluated the risks and opportunities, understanding the full scope of challenges ahead. She knew Xerox needed to evolve beyond its traditional printing business to stay competitive. Instead of sticking to the status quo, she acquired a $6.4 billion acquisition which transformed Xerox from a printing company into a global leader in business. Another powerful female leader is none other than Stacey Abrams, a political leader and voting rights activist who fought to protect democracy in the face of voter suppression. In 2018, after losing the Georgia gubernatorial race amid allegations of widespread voter suppression, Stacey looked both ways in line with the theme. She could have chosen to accept defeat quietly and move on, but instead she took a moment to assess the bigger picture. Stacey recognized that the issue was larger than her campaign. It was about the systemic disenfranchisement of marginalized communities. Trusting her inner voice and gut instincts, she paused and founded Fair Fight, an organization dedicated to ensuring fair elections and combating voter suppression. Her organization was instrumental in record voter turnout in the 2020 elections, flipping the state. Through her leadership, Stacy taught us that crossing life's highways is about standing firm in your values and fighting for more that others need as well. And lastly, my last example is none other than Ketanji Brown Jackson, who made history in 2022 as the first Black woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Her rise to this prestigious position is a testament to her dedication and resilience and trailblazing leadership. During her confirmation hearings in 2022, Judge Jackson faced intense scrutiny and questioning. She displayed grace under pressure, staying true to her legal expertise and moral compass while responding to critics with poise and intelligence. Judge Jackson looked both ways in line with the theme, recognizing the weight of history and the significance of her role for future generations, while also focusing on the immediate decisions and responsibilities that lay ahead. As a leader, she symbolizes not just the breaking of gender barriers, racial and gender barriers, but the power of perseverance and remaining steadfast to one's principle. Her story demonstrates how leaders in any field, particularly in challenging times, must show courage, integrity, and vision to create a lasting impact. So as I close, I challenge you to carry these 3 truths forward. Assess the journey ahead. Know your history. Own your story and let it guide your future. Pause and listen. Trust your gut. Listen to your inner voice and don't be swayed by the noise of life. Cross life's highways with confidence. Be bold, be fearless, and lead with conviction, because your leadership will pave the way for others. Together, let's look both ways and cross the highways of life with courage, clarity, and commitment to the powerful leaders we are. Thank you.